Coming up this week, no door handles for the Tesla Cybertruck, Yamaha's new EV motor, my impressions of the Volkswagen ID.4, and more. Hello friends and welcome to episode 58 of the EV Resource Podcast. My name is Zach Hurst and each week I bring you the latest EV news, information, and answers to your questions about electric vehicles. Before we get started with the news this week, I want to thank our podcast partner, Titan Auto and Tire in Moseley, Virginia, for their support. Titan is one of the very few independent shops in Central Virginia that are qualified to work on EVs, and from hybrids to Hummers, they fix everything. For more information and to schedule an appointment for your vehicle, go to TitanAutoTire.com. That's TitanAutoTire.com. Elon Musk has made some news on Twitter to start us off this week regarding the Cybertruck and its door handles, or lack thereof. A Twitter user named Zach, nice name, asked Elon Musk if he could provide a teaser for the upcoming all-electric pickup truck. And Musk replied with a cryptic update saying that there will be no door handles at all. And this is interesting because the Cybertruck prototype has handles similar to the Model S that present when you get close to the vehicle. So if the production version won't have handles at all, this would be radically different. And there are a lot of reasons that we could speculate about why this might be the case, but honestly, I think it falls in line very nicely with Tesla's first principles philosophy. Why do we have door handles on vehicles to begin with? The production process can be significantly simplified by removing this feature. And as radical as a design change this might seem, there are a few vehicles already on the market that don't have door handles. The new Mach-E from Ford with its push button comes to mind. And then of course the next-gen Roadster from Tesla is not going to have door handles either. So maybe this is the new direction that Tesla is wanting to take with its vehicles. Next, after years of producing top-ranking powersport combustion engines found in on-road and off-road vehicles, motorcycles, and boats, Yamaha has decided to enter the electric vehicle market in a big way. Intelligent Living shares with us that the company has debuted a new line of electric motors and drive-sized units for motorcycles and larger vehicles. The development has been going on quietly for some time now. It began in the motorcycle division and then expanded to electric cars. After realizing how powerful their innovative 200 kilowatt or 270 horsepower high-performance electric motor prototype was, Yamaha decided to move on from bikes to four-wheeled vehicle applications. There's also a 150 kilowatt unit designed for full-size electric cars. Yamaha announced it's taking orders for the motor, and it could be the perfect solution to converting a car with a gas-burning engine to an electric vehicle. The company says that it'll customize the prototype to your specific needs and have it delivered very quickly. The lowest power version has 35 kilowatts or around 47 horsepower, and the highest one, as mentioned, is 200 kilowatts. Yamaha's engineer Takahashi Hara explains, quote, "We have developed EV motors first with our motorcycles, and we've continued that work and combined the know-how from our engines to create these new units. The 35 kilowatt unit was developed for all small mobility applications, including motorcycles. The 150 kilowatt unit is for electric car applications. We thought making the units compact and was paramount. Using our casting technology for the housings enables an extremely compact design. This all results in a minimal unit overall. And that's an important factor, the size of the motor. The smaller the motor is, the more space there is for other things like a trunk compartment or a bigger battery. So the fact that Yamaha's new motor is compact is a big bonus." Either way, it looks like that this could be something that is applied both to EV conversions, but potentially also for OEM manufacturers that are looking to outsource the building of EV components. And the timing couldn't be better for Yamaha, as the competition in this space is certain to heat up as time goes on. Next, I had the opportunity to test drive a Volkswagen ID.4 First Edition on Friday, and I wanted to share some of my impressions with you. But before I do that, I definitely want to thank the local dealership, and those aren't words that I say often, Brown's Volkswagen, for letting me take the SUV off their lot for a little while. Brown's Volkswagen is actually a premier EV dealership in Virginia, and so what they've told me that means is that they will get new Volkswagen EVs before most anybody else. And generally, my experiences with EVs and dealerships are not pleasant. So definitely, I want to give a shout out to these guys for recognizing the importance of embracing electric vehicles. Oh, and about 5% of you, the listeners of this podcast, are in the Central Virginia area. So if you want to take a look at the ID.4, reach out to John Stevens at Brown's Volkswagen. He's their sales specialist, and let them know that I sent you. I don't get anything out of it, mind you. I just want them to appreciate having me around, because as more and more EVs from Volkswagen are released and available for sale, they are going to be my first stop to check out the vehicle and then, of course, get as much of the information about them out to you all. So at first look, the Volkswagen ID.4 isn't something that would stand out and catch your eye. That is, unless you're somebody who is interested in electric vehicles and would recognize it. It's got your traditional SUV size and shape to it and embodies Volkswagen's next-gen styling. But honestly, it looks pretty much like every other SUV on the road. And if you didn't know cars and recognize different brands and things, you probably wouldn't really be able to distinguish it from any other SUV out there. And that being said, I don't think that's a bad thing. You see, Volkswagen, at least my impression is that they're not trying to turn heads with the ID.4 like Ford is with the Mach-E, or definitely Tesla just going off the rails and doing their own thing with the Cybertruck. The Volkswagen brand is one of normalcy, refinement. It's the people's car, you know, and the ID.4 now coming out, I think this is when we need EVs to be normal. They don't need to prove anything anymore. They don't need to stand out and attract everybody's attention. And the people that will buy this aren't the ones that are going, hey, look at me, I'm driving an EV. It's just another SUV that happens to not need gas. And I like that in a way. Here in North America, our vehicle buyers are SUV obsessed. And I truly believe that this is one that will sell really well. The first edition that I spent time with is very well equipped for the modern family. 4 USB-C ports, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear, supply power to mobile devices. There's tons and tons of room for passengers, including really quite a bit of rear leg room. There's 2 screens up front that allow control of many of the vehicle's features and, of course, provide that traditional driver feedback for speed, etc. You know, all of the information you need to drive the car, that's going to be up there on the 2 screens. One's in front of the steering wheel where you would traditionally have your gauges, and then the other one is mounted in the center. There is a panoramic glass roof extending the entire roof of the vehicle. One thing I loved about that is that there is an adjustable motorized shade that will come forward to close all the way when you don't want all of the light and everything else coming in from the sun. The first edition is EPA rated at 250 miles from an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack. However, I definitely believe that around town, you could easily beat that number. A single rear motor provides 201 horsepower and 228 foot-pounds of torque, and power comes on very smoothly. When you punch the gas or accelerator pedal, you don't have that jarring jolt of power the way you do with many other EVs. And once again, in this case, that's a good thing. Most people don't really care to have that, and in some cases, some people really don't want that. The ID.4 First Edition can be charged with either AC or DC current. For the AC, either your level 1 or level 2, it has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger that Volkswagen says can charge up to 33 miles of range in about an hour. And you could charge on a 240 volt charger anyway, all the way up to full in about 7.5 hours. When it comes to fast charging, Volkswagen says the 5 to 80% will happen in about 38 minutes at a 125 kilowatt charging station. And to that point, Volkswagen has partnered with Electrify America to provide 3 years of free fast charging. So if you're going to go on road trips in this car, do it in the first 3 years because it's going to be free. And one thing that I did miss from my test drive and the overall experience with the ID.4 was any kind of excitement or thrill at all. You know, it's a great car. It's German engineering. It's solid. You feel that really when you're driving it, but it's boring. And that's a good thing in this case. This is the electric SUV for people who do not care about electric cars. It's, you could say, perfectly boring. And honestly, I think at this point, that is exactly what we need in the marketplace. Audi confirmed this week that they are joining Aston Martin and other manufacturers in ending the development of new gas and diesel engines. The future for Volkswagen's Audi brand is all about batteries, lowering costs, improving performance, and increasing production capacity. Spurred on by Europe's emissions rules getting progressively tougher, Audi sees no merit in investing energy and cost into new gas or diesel power units. Existing engines will be refined as much as possible, but the future for Audi is electric. To that point, the company says that it plans to offer 20 electric models within the next 5 years. Way to go, Audi. Let's kick this gas and diesel addiction as quickly as possible. Green Car Reports shares this week that Mercedes-Benz has started producing the 108 kilowatt-hour battery packs for its EQS flagship sedan, which they say they're going to unveil this April 15th, just 2 weeks away. In a press release, Mercedes said, quote, "The EQS will be equipped with battery layouts enabling different range and performance variants," end quote, while confirming for the first time that the top offering will be a 180 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That lines up range estimates that have been pegged at more than 700 kilometers, or just under 435 miles on the European WLTP test cycle since the model's concept introduction. The EQS pack will have, quote, CO2 neutrally produced cells, end quote, according to Mercedes, with chemistry including nickel, cobalt, and manganese in a ratio of 8:1:1. That reduces cobalt content by around 10% compared to previous cell chemistries. As it ramps up production of electric cars, Mercedes says it plans to be involved in all aspects of the battery business, from basic research to production to so-called second life uses after batteries have outlived their usefulness in cars. And to that end, Mercedes plans to open a new factory for small series production of future lithium-ion cells in 2023. The automaker believes this will help build institutional knowledge of battery research, production, and second life uses or recycling. Mercedes is planning to bring at least 4 electric models to the United States over the next 2 years, starting with the EQS. It's scheduled to go on sale here this fall, followed by the EQE sedan, which is expected to start deliveries in 2022. Mercedes will also build SUV variants of the EQS and the EQE in Alabama starting later in 2022 as well. So things are looking up in the luxury segment, and it's definitely becoming a very crowded field. So the last news story I have for you hits really close to home for me. Virginia's Governor Ralph Northam signed into law 2 pieces of legislation that will have Virginia join 17 other states that have adopted or are considering adoption of a clean cars program, setting our state, or the Commonwealth here, up to become the leader in electric vehicles in the South. By adopting a Clean Cars Virginia program, Virginians will now have access to more choice on the types of clean vehicles they want to buy, while also cleaning up the air and reducing climate-changing pollutants. Virginia's new law secures these benefits by directing the state's Air Pollution Control Board to adopt and implement the program, which will require vehicle manufacturers to continue to bring to Virginia cleaner cars that are available in other states that emit less climate pollution, soot, and smog-forming pollutants that worsen asthma, and require manufacturers to also deliver a rising number of electric cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks that are currently available in other states, but not here yet. The most important reason, at least to me, is that the Clean Cars program is good news for air quality and health. EVs will help clean up the air we breathe right here where we live by cutting carbon pollution as well as smog-forming emissions and particulate matter. I am really proud to live in a state that values the health of its citizens and the cleanliness of the air we breathe when planning for its future. So that's all I have for you in the news this week, excepting maybe a quick reminder that Extreme E starts their season next weekend with the first race in Saudi Arabia. You can check out the Extreme E website on how to watch the race. Here in the US, it'll be broadcast on Fox Sports. This week in the weekly Q&A segment, your answers to last week's question, which was, If there were an electric vehicle event, thinking along the lines of Formula E, Extreme E, or something like Fully Charged Live, on the west coast of the United States in the coming years, would you attend, and what would you like to see? Rajiv Narayan says, would love to see electric trucks, larger SUVs, and camper vans. Also, it would be nice to see autonomous tech. Completely agree with you there. That is something that the market is missing right now. So if we could see kind of what's coming, that would be great. Lavita McDowell says a rally car. Totally with you on that. Ken McKinley says anything but a Tesla. I'm sure there's a story behind that one, Ken. I'd love to hear that. Anything but a Tesla. Unfortunately, I think any electric vehicle event here in the US is going to include Teslas, but certainly I wouldn't be surprised to see many other manufacturers involved as well. Clay McDonald says, no, I'd only consider attending if it were on the East Coast. Those are all great events, but not worth traveling across the country for. And Philip Basile says, along the same lines, no, I'm on the East Coast. So great answers from all of you. Keep them coming. I love the interaction and the conversation. And the question I have for you all this week is this. To you, what is the most important reason we need to transition to electric transportation? So submit your answers, and I will read them out on next week's podcast. So that's your show for this week. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please share this with your friends and anybody interested in electric vehicles. I want to thank our Patreon executive producers. They are Tom Wiggins, Rajiv Narayan, and Greg Fuller. If you're interested and able to help support the efforts here on the EV Resource Podcast, you can check us out there on patreon.com/EVResource. I invite your feedback via email to hello@ev-resource.com. You can always leave a comment here on the YouTube video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you'll get all of the future shows delivered to you automatically. If you want to listen to any of the previous podcasts audio, you can find them on the webpage under the podcast section and on most of your major podcast platforms, whatever you prefer listening to. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you next week.